Hello friends, welcome to Saker Academy. Hope you are doing well and safe. So this is module 11 about AZ-900 Microsoft Azure Fundamentals Real Exam Questions and Concepts. So in this module, I will be providing few more real exam questions and their concepts. Let's begin the question. AZ-900 exam question number 171. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Note, each correct selection is worth 1 point here. So we have the statements in the answer area. Let's go to the statement 1. You can use availability zones in Azure to protect Azure virtual machines from a data center failure. Right? You can use availability zones in Azure to protect if any protect the Azure virtual machines if the data center failure, right? So the right answer is yes. So you can protect. So that's the concept of in Azure, the availability zones or availability regions, right? So we can utilize that features within any data center failure. Still you will be able to utilize the resources under the data center in another data center within this different Azure availability zone. Next statement, you can use availability zones in Azure to protect Azure virtual machines from a region failure, right? So the right answer is no, right? So you cannot use the zones in Azure to protect the availability Azure virtual machines from a region failure. So the right answer is no. Next statement, you can use availability zone in Azure to protect Azure managed disks from a data center failure. Again, the right answer is yes. So the right answer is yes. AZ-900 exam question number 172. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. So the question is here, an Azure region, right? So the options we have, an Azure region contains one or more data centers that are connected by using a low latency network. Another option is found in each country where Microsoft has subsidiary office. Another one is can be found in every country in Europe and Americans only. And the last option is here, contains one or more data centers that are connected by using high latency network, right? So an Azure region is a low latency, like here you can right answer is contains one or more data centers that are connected by using a low latency network. So that is the definition of the Azure region. AZ-900 exam question number 173. What is guaranteed in an Azure service level agreement for virtual machines? So what is guaranteed in Azure service level agreement for the virtual machines? The options we have: A, uptime, B, feature availability, C, bandwidth, and D, performance. The right option is here A, uptime, so which is available in the service SLA for those virtual machines to give a guaranteed service availability, right? So the right answer is A, uptime. AZ-900 exam question number 174. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Note, each correct selection is worth 1 point here. So let's go to the statement 1. The service level agreement guaranteed uptime for paid Azure services is at least 99.9%, right? The right answer is here yes. Next statement, companies can increase the service level agreement guaranteed uptime by adding Azure resources to multiple regions. The right answer is again option yes. And third statement, companies can increase the service level agreement guaranteed uptime by purchasing multiple subscription. Here the right answer is option no. AZ-900 exam question number 175. How should you calculate the monthly uptime percentage? Right? How should you calculate the monthly uptime percentage? To answer, select the appropriate options in the answer area. Each correct selection is worth 1 point here. So on the answer area, the first part we have options downtime in minutes, maximum available minutes, and maximum available minutes minus downtime in minutes. So these are the first options, plus, and then another set 60, 1440 maximum available minutes, right, and multiply by 100 or 99.99 or 1.440. Here the right answer is first part will be maximum available minutes minus downtime in minutes plus maximum available minutes and into 100. So that way we can calculate the monthly uptime percentage. AZ-900 exam question number 176. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Note, each correct selection is worth 1 point here. So in the answer area, we have three statements. Let's go to the statement 1. When using an Azure Express Route connection, inbound data traffic from an on-premises network to Azure is always free. Inbound data traffic from an on-premises network to an Azure always free. The right answer is here option yes. You can move the traffic from on-premises network to Azure without cost. Next statement, outbound data traffic from Azure to on-premises network is always free. Here outbound traffic, right? So in the first statement we have inbound traffic, but when you say outbound traffic from Azure to on-premises network is always free, here the right answer is no, that is false, right? So it is chargeable, right? The right answer is no. Next statement, data traffic between Azure services within the same Azure region is always free. Data traffic between Azure services within the same Azure region is always free. Right answer is again yes. So our services are free between the same Azure region. AZ-900 exam question number 177. You plan to implement an Azure database solution. You need to implement a database solution that meet the following requirements. Can add data concurrently from multiple regions. Can store JSON documents. Which database service should you deploy? Right. So to meet the following requirements, so which database service should you deploy in Azure cloud? To answer, select the appropriate service in the answer area. So in this slide we have the list of databases listed here: Azure Cosmos DB, Azure database for Microsoft MySQL servers, Azure database for MariaDB servers, SQL data warehouses, Azure Cache for Redis, data factories, virtual clusters, Elastic Job Agents, SQL databases, Azure database for PostgreSQL data servers, SQL servers, Azure database migration services, SQL server stretch databases, SQL Elastic pools, managed databases, SQL managed instances. Right, so these are the list of services, database services we have in Azure cloud. But to meet the solution, to meet the following requirements to fulfill, so which is the right database we have to choose here, right? The right answer is the right answer is Azure Cosmos DB. So that way we can add data concurrently from multiple regions, as well as we can store the data in JSON documents. So the right answer is Azure Cosmos DB. AZ-900 exam question number 178. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Note, each correct selection is worth 1 point here. Let's go to the statement 1. Cloud computing provides elastic scalability. Options we have yes or no, right? Cloud computing provides elastic scalability. Right answer is yes. And next statement, customers can minimize capital expenditure by using a public cloud. Again, the right answer is yes. You can minimize the capital expenditure by using a public cloud. Third statement, cloud computing leverages virtualization to provide services to multiple customers simultaneously. Right answer is here option again yes. AZ-900 exam question number 179. This question requires that you evaluate the underlying text to determine if it is correct. One of the benefit of Azure SQL data warehouse is that high availability is built into the platform. Instructions we have: review the underlying text. If it makes statement correct, select no changes needed. If the statement is incorrect, select the answer choice that makes the statement correct. Options we have: A, no change needed, B, automatic scaling, C, data compression, and D, worsening. Right, the right answer is here no change is needed. Right, so the benefit of the Azure SQL data warehouse is that we'll have the high availability. It is built in the platform. So the right answer is A, no changes needed. AZ-900 exam question number 180. You plan to store 20 TB of data in Azure, and the data will be accessed infrequently and visualized by using Microsoft Power BI. You need to recommend a storage solution for the data, right? So which two solutions should you recommend? Each correct answer presents a complete solution, and each correct selection is worth 1 point here. Options we have: A, Azure Data Lake, B, Azure Cosmos DB, C, Azure SQL Database, and D, Azure Database for PostgreSQL, and E, Azure Synapse Analytics. Right answer is here A, Azure Data Lake, and E, Azure Synapse Analytics. Right, to store the data we need the Azure Data Lake and visualize the data, right? So using the Power BI, right? So to access those data, Azure Synapse Analytics, which is a good resource where we can use in and recommend the solution in Azure here. AZ-900 exam question number 181. Which Azure service should you use to collect events from multiple resources into a centralized repository? Options we have: A, Azure Event Hubs, B, Azure Analysis Services, C, Azure Monitor, and D, Azure Stream Analytics. The right answer is here Azure Event Hubs. AZ-900 exam question number 182. You need to be notified when Microsoft plans to perform maintenance that can affect the resources deployed to an Azure subscription. What should you use? Right, the right answer options we have: A, Azure Monitor, B, Azure Service Health, C, Azure's Advisor, and D, Microsoft Trust Center. So the right answer is here Azure Service Health. Right, so all the maintenance patches which will have the information where we can use the Azure Service Health service. AZ-900 exam question number 183. For each of the following statement, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point here. So let's go to the statement 1. Azure Monitor can monitor the performance of on-premises computers. Right, here the options we have yes or no. Right, so the right answer is yes, you can monitor the performance of on-premises computer. Azure Monitor can send alerts to Azure Active Directory security groups. The right answer is here, no. The next statement is here. Azure Monitor can trigger alerts based on data in Azure Log Analytics workspace. Right? The right answer is here, option yes. AZ-900 exam question number 184. You have a virtual machine named VM1 that runs Windows Server 2016. VM1 is in the East US Azure region. Which Azure service should you use from Azure portal to view service failure notifications that can affect the availability of VM1? Right? So which Azure service should you use from Azure portal to view service failure notifications that can affect the availability of VM1? The options we have: A. Azure Service Fabric, B. Azure Monitor, C. Azure Virtual Machines, and D. Azure Advisor. The right answer is here C. Azure Virtual Machines. So C. Azure Virtual Machines. AZ-900 exam question number 185. Hotspot here. You need to identify which blades in the Azure portal must be used to perform the following tasks. The tasks what we have here: view security recommendations, monitor the health of Azure services, browse available virtual machine images. Which blade should you identify for each task? To answer, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Each correct selection is worth 1 point here. The statements we have: monitor the health of Azure services. For this, options we have: monitor, subscriptions, marketplace, and advisor. And the other statements: browse available virtual machine images, and the other one, view security recommendations. Right? So for each of them we see the 4 available options we have. So the right answers we have: monitor the health of Azure services is under monitor, and then browse available virtual machine images are in marketplace, and view security recommendations are available to see in Azure Advisor. AZ-900 exam question number 186. What can you use to automatically send an alert if an administrator stops an Azure virtual machine? Right? What can you use to automatically send an alert if administrator stops an Azure virtual machine? So the options we have: A. Azure Advisor, B. Azure Service Health, C. Azure Monitor, and D. Azure Network Watcher. So the right answer is here Azure Monitor. So the Azure Monitor, we can see and we can send alert if the virtual machine stops, virtual machine code stops. So you can send alert using Azure Monitor. AZ-900 exam question number 187. You plan to implement several security services for an Azure environment. You need to identify which Azure services must be used to meet the following security requirements. The security requirements here: monitor threats by using sensors, and another one, enforce Azure multi-factor authentication MFA based on a condition. Which Azure service should you identify for each requirement? To answer, select the appropriate options in the answer area, and note each correct selection is worth 1 point. So the statement 1, monitor threats by using sensors. Another one, enforce Azure MFA based on conditions. So these are the 2 security requirements we have, right? Options we have: Azure Monitor, Azure Security Center, Azure Active Directory Identity Protection, Azure Advanced Threat Protection. The right answers are here. For the first one, Azure Advanced Threat Protection, and the second one, Azure Active Directory Identity Protection. AZ-900 exam question number 188. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So we have 3 statements here. Let's go to this statement 1. Azure Security Center right? Can monitor Azure resources and on-premises resources. Options we have yes and no, right? Security Center can monitor Azure resources and on-premises resources. The right answer is yes. So when we have the hybrid cloud model, right? So since you can monitor the services resources in Azure as well as on-premises resources as well. So the right answer is yes. Next statement, all Azure Security Center features are free. The right answer is no. So based on the subscription model, the features will be applicable or chargeable in Azure Cloud. And next statement, from Azure Security Center, you can download a regulatory compliance report, right? So the right answer is here, yes. So in the Security Center, that's what the Microsoft Defender, right? So you can download a regulatory compliance report. AZ-900 exam question number 189. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. So in the answer area, we have the statement here. You can view your company's regulatory compliance report from in which resource, which service, right? So the options we have Azure Advisor, Azure Analysis Services, Azure Monitor, and Azure Security Center. The right answer is here Azure Security Center, right? So right answer is Azure Security Center. AZ-900 exam question number 190. What should you use to evaluate whether your company's Azure environment meets regulatory requirements? The options we have Azure Service Health, B Azure Knowledge Center, C Azure Security Center, so which is now we are calling Microsoft Dependent for Cloud, and D Azure Advisor, right? The right answer is here Azure Security Center, or it's called Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Right answer is C. With this we completed module 11 about AZ-900 Microsoft Azure fundamentals, real exam questions and concepts. So if you are new to my channel, please like, share and subscribe and provide your valuable comments. Thanks for watching.